Alrighty.
All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? We have got part 2 of Steven's story. I know you guys are dying to hear about this. We're going to be able to get into like the real nitty gritty of what happened. If you are here, drop your where you're watching from in the chat. Trisha, it starts right now. Steven, what's up? What's going on?
Hey, how you doing? What's up, guys? Thanks for having me back on. Yeah, I just wanted to pick up where I left off and just kind of just to recap like what I talked about last time. Like I was working for Wayfair. They found me. I had only been working for them for a couple months. I ended up having to go to detox. I thought I was going to lose my job, but not only did I not lose my job, Wayfair set me up with this apartment during COVID. I thought that was kind of like too good to be true, but I was just grateful for it. I moved into the apartment. I had a night where I relapsed quickly. Me and the girlfriend split up. I started using meth and Xanax and drinking, and the cops were called on one occasion, and it seemed like my landlord really didn't like that.
Now, this is your creepy landlord, right?
Yes, Richard.
Let's give everybody a backstory on Richard for those who had not heard about Richard yet.
I mean, so I'm like 90% sure he's at least like the main person involved in all my targeting. So I mean, he was the contact that Wayfair gave me. He was the landlord of this apartment that I was moving into. When I got to the apartment, like he made some comments that were weird. He said things like, he's like, "Oh, and you might as well tell me the truth because trust me, I know everything that goes on here." I was like, okay, all right, man. And then he said some other things like, "Oh, in that shed, don't go near that shed." He's like, "Going near that shed will result in immediate eviction." I was
that
like,
okay. Sounds like such a scary movie. I feel like I've seen that like in a movie somewhere.
Oh, this is like a horrible, bad movie living over there for real. So yeah, I mean, so that happened, but like at first it was fine there. But then like it all changed after that one night. I had a couple people over and we were using all night. The next morning they were like wandering around in the hallways, and to the point where it like drew the neighbors' attention. The cops were called. The cops came and nothing really happened. Like my guests left. The cops left. Nobody got arrested. No harm, no foul. So I thought, in my head, I was like, okay, I gotta like get my act together. I can't be having cops show up at my apartment, especially when I'm using. At this point, I was using, hard drugs, meth, and I was, I was ordering my drugs allegedly on the dark web. So I was like, really, like, Steve, get it together. You can't be having cops called like that. But as a side note, I posted my story online, and some people have reacted by saying that maybe me getting my drugs the way I did could have possibly put me on some kind of like government watch list or something. I'm not sure, just food for thought. But anyway, so after that night, so Richard called me and like asked if I was using drugs. I lied and said no, and then after that, everything just got weird. That's when like the electronic harassment started. My Wayfair work computer was acting very strangely. Everything was just different on it. All my like work resource links were missing. Which with my job, it was a work from home job. I had 2 monitors, a headset, and that was my whole job was my computer. So like me not having everything I needed there was like impacting me greatly. So. And also, there was a few I'm not blaming all of my problems in these places on my landlord. I had plenty to do with my own negative situations and consequences. There was a few comments like, "Oh, you should take responsibility." Like I have taken responsibility. I've gotten sober. I've gotten clean. I have over a year now. But that's not the focus of this story, anyways. It's like just the weird things that happened over the last couple of years. So anyways, just as a side note. So anyway, my work computer starts acting weird, and I'm on the phone with tech support. Like they send me another computer. I noticed like an FBI log file on my laptop, which scared me.
So weird.
Yeah, I wish I saved that, like, so I could see what, like, I don't really remember like exactly what it said, but it was, especially with what I was doing, I was like, oh my gosh, they're on to me, you know. But I still continued to do what I did, and I didn't get arrested. I didn't get any legal consequences, luckily. But and then it just got so weird with my Androids, like buttons pressing by themselves. I was trying to, like, I was getting in battles with somebody who was controlling my phone remotely. So that's where and I think I left it off with, like, so the V2K started, and I'm having full conversations, like I'm moving around in this apartment by myself, and I'm hearing comments about what I'm doing, like what, like, and I'm just like, just baffled, confused.
Like they're in the ceiling, like they're like in the ceiling, like they or something, like, and you just can't even like see them, but you're like, they have to be here because they're talking about my current situation, right?
Yeah, so bizarre. I can't even. It's hard to describe, but like, and that, but like, then just to further the. So one thing that people say is like, well, how do you know that you're not schizophrenic, or how do you know that you weren't hearing those voices because you were on meth? Well, for a lot of reasons, like because of everything together, because of the cell phone hacking, the stolen phones, and then like, so it's the V2K I'm getting. Plus, I'm in bed one night and my TV changes. Remote. I'm still having a conversation with, I think, Richard. You know, I'm not positive, but I think it's him. I'm having a conversation with him while I'm by myself, and then my TV changes to this whole rap song about this girl, Julia, who I had been having over in private. So it's a whole song written about her, and you know, saying nasty things, making fun of me, saying he hopes my son dies, and just so people like realize the implication of that. So it's like, for me, it's like, at this point I think something weird is going on. I'm getting hacked. My phones are hacked. I'm somehow talking to somebody, but now it's like, okay, somebody put all this time together to make this video that they're showing to me, all about a personal situation in my life. So someone who I had over in private was not in private. I'm being monitored, just like it felt. I'm being monitored, surveilled, made fun of, mocked at, jeered at. And I just want to, I want to tell you, this part was kind of interesting, and that's kind of where I left off. I remember that night, like, I don't know if it was my defense mechanism or what. But like, there was times where I'd like joke around with with the V2K. I remember like talking crap to, like, after that. I was like, you know, because I'm a musician, and I was like, that ain't that good, man. Like, check out this. And so I put on a video of me playing guitar from years ago, and then he made fun of that. So now we're like swapping like videos on the TV, like with some, you know, this is how it was going. And after that video played,
Steven, do you think that it could be some kind of like aliens or something? Like, this is so bizarre, but it's got to be like somebody, like something with a very high like mindset, you know what I'm saying? Like more than just intellectual, almost like supernatural in a sense.
Yes, I mean, I don't want to go the alien route, but I think like demonic. The whole thing had a demonic feel, like the whole feel, like I was appalled the whole time and disgusted. Like, this is like this whole thing is revolting. Everything about this is like I can't believe this is happening. Like, nobody's ever gonna believe me, and I can't believe this is like really my life right now. But then he showed me this. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if it's demonic. It certainly felt demonic. But then he changes to this. He puts a video on. And he said, "This is how I recruit people." And I remember it was like I wish I remembered more, but guys, I was drinking a lot at the time. And it was late at night. I was drunk, but it was like it looked like a rap video with like white Jersey Shore looking white kids. And they all had bling on, and they were like, it was like, they all had like nice cars and stuff. And so that happened, and that was like an aspect I wanted to get into. Like, it felt like he was trying to recruit me for this. Like that started to become. It seemed like he was trying to break me down enough to see if like he could like mold me into like doing this stuff. I really got that vibe many times. I remember one time on the TV, like all these different, like, it looked like fraud was going on the TV. It had this random email address on the bottom, and it said like Disney Plus, $5.99 a month, sign up, and then the sign up clicked automatically. Then the screen shuffled to like Hulu Plus, $5.99 a month, sign up, and then the button clicked. And I'm just watching this on my TV for like 10 minutes, just looking all at this going on. And then he said in the V2K, he was like, I don't care what you do, just make me money. Like he would say stuff like that.
Wow.
One more TV thing that was, and that ties in the Wayfair thing, pretty wild. I remember like, I got fired from Wayfair at this point. And I honestly, like, I'm not going to blame this on Richard. Like it was for attendance. I got fired for attendance at a work from home job just because I literally was such a mess with all of this, plus my drug use, that I couldn't like get myself together to get to work to get to my computer on time and like be present. So they gave me a lot of chances, but then they had to let me go when I violated, like when I was late to work that one too many times. But one night, like a few weeks later, I'm like in bed by myself, and like another conversation with presumably Richard, and he was like, oh, by the way, I'm the one that called Wayfair and told them to fire your ass. And so, I mean, but anybody who's been through this V2K thing, you can't like trust anything they tell you. You don't know. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true at all. Probably not. I think I deserve to get fired they gave me a lot of chances. But anyway, I remember that. I remember saying that, and this story is wild, and this really dropped my stomach. It was like the most disgusting part of this whole thing. But I was like, I got mad. I was like, you're not gonna get away with this, Richard. I'm coming after you. I'm gonna take you to court. He's like, what are you gonna do? I was like, I said, I'm gonna take you to court. He's like, no, you're not gonna tell anybody. You're not gonna. And I've been having my brother over once. I had my friend Lindsay come visit a couple times. I didn't tell Richard that, but Richard said, he's like, and you're not gonna tell your brother, or you're not gonna tell Lindsay, because if you do, I'll have to show them what you've been watching. And then my TV changes, and then it changes to this Netflix show called Bratz, which I had never heard of up until that point. But after like watching a minute, I saw it was like about like young teenage girls and kids. It had like so like the implication there was that he was trying to say that I was watching this show, and then he was going to tell people, like blackmail me and say that I was like watching things like that. I was like disgusted. I turned the TV off. Then I would turn the TV back on, and he changed the TV so that was like the default thing that turned on when the TV came on. Like, I swear to God, that I was like, oh my God, like this is getting deeper and deeper, weirder and weirder. And like, now I'm like nervous. Like, is he going to try to like slander me and say things that aren't true? Oh, so I formatted the TV to get rid of that setting, just so it would, and that was like how I would like try to fight this stuff. Like, I knew it was like kind of related to technology and like my phones and my devices. So I would format the TV. I would format my phones. I remember one time, like, my phones were so hacked, I like took my phone and put it in between the claws of a hammer, took pliers and like twisted my whole phone apart, just like trying to get this to stop. It was crazy, guys. So this was like towards the end of that first apartment, and this is the last part of the first season of my targeting I want to talk about. He was like kind of trying to see if he could recruit me, see if I could make him money. And he said, he was like, I got this guy, Julio. I don't remember what his name was. I got this local guy, Julio. And the guy like joined in on the harassment one night. And he started like almost like, if I didn't know any better, it seemed like he wanted to like help me or detox me. Because he was comparing me to Julio. He was like, yeah, I got this guy Julio, and unlike you, he doesn't need drugs to get him through the day. He's like, and so we were kind of making a plan to like meet up. Like, I I was like, well, I need a phone. Like, you got to bring me a phone. He's like, let's see if you can make it till 5 p.m. without a drink. And like, so we were like forming this plan, like to like meet up in person. And it was just bizarre because he was trying to say that I couldn't be like all messed up on drugs. And I remember I had this Xanax, and I said out loud, I was like, I can't just stop taking Xanax. Like, I'll go into withdrawals. And he was like, I'll hold your pills for you. And at the end of each day, I'll give you one little treat. Oh, it's so weird to say this out loud. This is a conversation I was having with him. And so like I considered it. Like, I'm not proud to admit it, but I was like, all right, maybe this is my option right now. I just go along with this guy, do what he does, listen to him. So the next day comes, and he like doesn't show up when he says he's going to show up. And I don't know, I think this was like a God moment. Cause like in my spirit, I just got the earth, like, you know, my mind was my logic was telling me, dude, you have 3 more months rent paid up. Like, you don't want to get sober. You don't want to, like, you have your own apartment finally. Just, you know, stay here, stay. But my spirit was like, run, get out, flee. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. So like, I don't know how that situation would have developed if I stayed. The next morning, I literally took my huge bag of Xanax. I flushed it down the toilet. And I just left. I left there, everything I had there, and I went into detox, not wanting to get clean, and just to like hammer the point home of like how big of a decision that was. Like, I have been, like I mentioned, I think in my last videos, I had been like in and out of halfway houses for many years. So like, to finally get my own apartment where I could have my son at, like I really wanted to do whatever I could to stay there. And I was like, so happy about that. I was like, I'm finally going to get to stay here. And, you know, I finally have my own place that like, and just a couple months later, after going through all this, I just ran. That's how intense this stuff was, how intense this like attack was, whether it was a spiritual attack, whatever it was real. It was real enough to get me to just flee, run away.
It's crazy because like I've had an experience where this guy that I was with before, he was like a warlock, right? Or like a witch or whatever. And he would literally, like, the voice, he would talk to them and they would talk back to him. And I'm just standing there like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, because I'm hearing it, but he's conversating with them. So it's like, wow. Are they real people and I just can't see them? Is this some kind of witchcraft? Is this some kind of spell? But he called them vampires.
What, you would hear them in your head, but you could see him talking?
Yeah, like he was really, this guy, we were together. Yeah. And he could literally, he would talk to them and he would say they were like vampires. He would go up to like random people and they would like give him stuff. Like, it was like he knew who was part of it, who wasn't part of it. And and then there were like times where I could see them and they would look like black kind of figures. Like it almost looked like they had like hoods on and like black outfits. You could say they, you know what I mean? But they were like small people. Like, they weren't like big people, you know what I mean? They were like thin, 5 feet, 110 pounds.
I saw that. I heard you talking about the people in hoods and stuff. Like, where would you see them? Were they real?
Everywhere. Like, literally, usually like somewhere hiding around a corner or kind of trying to blend in with something. I even got one in a picture in a tree, up in a freaking tree. I mean, no way anybody could have climbed that tree. And I got him in a picture.
I've heard of people say that. Like, I don't know if they're using like holograms or whatever, but I've heard of people saying that, like spotting people in trees. Like, I don't know. Yeah, before any of this, I would be like, that's just crazy. But after going through what I went through, anything's possible.
Yeah, they're like, they have like sustenance to them. It's not like they're ghosts. You know what I mean? They're solid. They're not like ghosts. But yeah, Andrew, who's my ex, he would say they were vampires. So I don't know, maybe some kind of like somebody from the dark army, I guess. I don't know.
So yeah. All right. So that was that. I just want to I think I can finish the rest of this in this video. So so I fled that apartment. I go into detox, and so this is like the part, like I know my story is not going to be the one to convince people that it's real, because when I got clean and sober, nothing happened. No V2K, no nothing. So I was clean for like 6 months. I went into another halfway house. I started from scratch again, like I've been so used to doing, I did that again, but then I got into my same pattern. I was like, I look better, I feel better, I'm going out to the bars, I want to get my own room. So I moved into another, everything included. This time it was smaller, it wasn't that nice. It was just a single room with like a shared kitchen and a shared bathroom. Real cheap, dirt cheap. I found it on Craigslist, and I was like, sign me up. I paid cash, and so then I moved in there. Now I'm working at Cumberland Farms, and at first, things are fine. I don't even remember like exactly how it started the second time, but like I started drinking heavily at night, like after work. And then, to combat the fatigue during the day, I would start doing Adderall. And then like shortly after I started, like, and it wasn't like that day or the next day, but sometime within the next month or two, like my phones were acting up again. My phones were getting hacked. I'm like, not this again. What is this? Because I in the meantime, I didn't know what targeting was. I didn't look into any of this stuff. I was just like, that was a weird time in my life. I'm just going to move on. Like, I don't know what that was. But now here it is, a year later in a different place. I haven't talked to Richard since I've been in that apartment. And so I hadn't talked to him in a long time. I hadn't seen him in over 7-8 months. Sorry if my timetables are a little screwed up. I'm not great with that. But anyway, so then so my phones are getting hacked again, and I'm working at Cumberland Farms, and this one day on my day off, I get a call from my boss saying, "Hey, Steve, can you come into work?" I was like, "It's my day off. Like, what's up? Do you need me to work today?" She's like, "Yeah, just need to talk to you for a second." I was like, "Okay, I guess I'll take the bus down there." So I did, and like basically, it was so strange. It felt like it was like not. It felt surreal because she fired me. She said that my drawer was short $200, and on my son's life, I didn't take a cent from them. I was like, "What do you mean? Like, I didn't take any money from you guys." She's like, "Yeah, we've been checking the cameras." I was like, "And?" She's like, "Yeah, I don't know, but anything over $100, then yeah, we just gotta let you go." I tried to defend myself for a minute, but like, I saw that was getting me nowhere. So now I'm in another place. Now my phones are getting hacked again. I get falsely accused from stealing from work. I get fired, and that sends me into like a real depression. And I'm not using meth yet at this point, but like I'm drinking like harder than I've ever drank in my life, like around the clock. Just getting out of my bed to shower every couple days, and like getting out of bed once a day to like go to the grocery store, get food, get my booze, and come back. It was really like pathetic, honestly. But I was doing that for like a month until I realized like, okay, I need to start making money. So I went back to my old patterns of going on allegedly the dark web to get some Xanax, because that's what I had success selling allegedly around here. And while I was on the dark web, I can't help myself when I'm like on the markets there. I have to add some meth to the shopping cart, So I did that, and it just all started again, man. Like, and there's like two more stories that I just really wanted to tell, because they were like the wildest stories. Like, oh, this one is like my hologram flashlight story. So So I get it in my head that like, okay, I'm hacked. All my devices are hacked again, and I don't know why I thought this, but I got it in my head that honestly, like looking back, I really wonder if this was my thought at all. Like it just didn't. I get it in my head like, oh, since I'm hacked, my kid's mother must be hacked. So I need to go over to her house and explain everything to her. And she thought I was supposed to be sober at this point. So this is like a horrible idea on so many levels. Like, a horrible idea. And bear with me with the story, guys. Bear with me. It's going to take a couple minutes. So no soon. So I'm like at a local store, and I finally decide, like, yeah, I'm going to walk over. Like, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go over her house and explain everything. Or I literally had no. It doesn't make any sense. But no sooner did I have that thought than a car pulls up to me outside of the local Family Dollar, and it's just a group of people. The girl driving was like, "Hey, do you need a ride?" And I was just look around like, "Me?" I was like, "Yeah, actually, I'll take one." So they drop me off. I tell them where I'm going. They drop me off at my kid's mother's house. I let myself in. Nobody's home at first. This is like the weirdest part. So I'm like in her house, like not just doing the same thing I'd been doing in my apartment, just rifling through everything, like trying to look for like bugs or like looking for like secret electronics or devices that it made no sense, and I was strung out. So anyway, so this is the part that is just the weirdest. So I remember like rifling through her curtains like this, okay? And this part's important, okay? So I'm like rifling through her curtains, and while I'm doing that, I've noticed behind me there's a bright light that's like goes off about 20 feet behind me. I look back, and it's like this pocket-sized light with one button on it. Somebody must have thrown it in the window. I don't know if it was somebody in that group of people who dropped me off, but like I pick it up, and it has one button on it and a couple bulbs, and it changes from like a strobe setting to like a single beam of light. I press it again, it turns off. I just look around and panic, and I just put it in my pocket and just like kind of like, what was it? Who was that? Who did that? And I keep rifling through her house. And long story short, like this ended up being like one of the most embarrassing situations of my whole life. Like her family, my ex-wife's family, all lives in like the houses surrounding. They must have heard like some commotion, me over there. And they all come over one by one and like see me like just out of my mind, like, and not that I was there to like steal or anything or rob anything, but it was almost worse because like what was I doing there? I couldn't. I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't think that she's like safe right now. I don't know. And her whole family was there, and like I remember, it was so bad. It was so bad. I had like a lunchbox that I had like a bunch of Xanax in, and like, yeah, it must not have been secured properly. So at like towards the end, I'm like spilling Xanax out of this lunchbox, and their whole family's just staring at me in horror. And I'm trying to say like, oh, these are my prescriptions. It was horrible. Then at that point, the grandfather yells at me like, get some help, Steve, get out of here. So anyways, so that long story. Okay, so fast forward a few hours later, now I'm in my room to rent, and I'm looking around my room, like doing the same thing. I was like just looking for some kind of electronics, or looking for some kind of cameras, the source of my harassment. I couldn't, and I remember having a flashlight, not the same light that I found in that house, but my own flashlight, looking around. And then so I'm holding the flashlight, and all of a sudden I look on the flashlight, and I see Richard's face from a guy who I haven't seen from a year prior in my previous apartment. And it's like I'm watching a FaceTime video on the head of this flashlight. And he's like, and I'm just like, Richard, okay. I'm like, and I'm talking. And the first thing I said, I was almost like Stockholm syndrome, like happy to see him in this weird way. Because like in my mind, like I was like, I knew it. I knew I wasn't done with him yet. And the first thing I said, I was like, remember that Julia video? And he was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, that was kind of funny. And then he was just smiled and laughed. And then I hear Eric's voice, which is my new landlord. And he had just told me like a week prior that he didn't know Richard. That's a whole other long side segment of the story. But I was like, oh, so you do know Richard? He's like, oh yeah, I know Richard. And so that happened. And that was one of the craziest things I've seen. At that point, I'm like, I'm like, what is going on? So as soon as that started, it like stopped. The whole thing lasted like 15 seconds, and then it just went back to being a normal flashlight. So yeah, I saw a hologram. I don't even know. Oh yes, I forgot to mention though. So after I saw Richard's face, after it switched from him going like this, he went like this, like as if to present something, and then it switched to a clip of me from behind, rifling through the curtains like I was in Rachel's house earlier that day. So I was just like, so somehow like a video was taken of me from earlier that day where there were no cameras. So the implications there, it's like, okay, so I'm being surveilled, I am being recorded, like it felt like, and now I'm being shown this recording. And now, so when I hear people say, like targeted individuals say that they think they're being recorded and possibly shared around on the dark web, I tend to agree with that because of that story.
Oh yes, for sure, and like sexually as well.
Yeah.
Sexually exploited women who are in that, you know what I mean? Their videos will be passed around also.
Yeah.
So we had a comment here. Exalt said, "Did you still have voice to skull at this point?"
So at this point with the flashlight, like it had just started up again. Like it had just started up again. And for me, it seems like it coincides with when I go relapse on stimulants. But I just as a side note, I've been using stimulants like recreationally for years and years and years. I'm 36 now. I probably started using Adderall heavily when I was like 14, and I've never gotten any voice to skull or anything like that until 2021. So,
was that with Adderall or when it turned to meth?
It worked. I got voice to skull on both of them.
On both.
Yeah.
But did you buy the Adderall on the dark web?
No, it was too expensive. I just I did Adderall when I had like friends who had some in person.
Like prescription?
But no prescription, no.
So it was like, so it could have been from the dark web, or from like some kind of, where I'm going with this is I'm wondering if it has something to do also with like witchcraft, because like meth is made with like witchcraft. So maybe like when you do it, it opens this whole thing and all the things that come with it.
Yeah, no, I believe that that's definitely possible. Because yeah, by far the worst of it was on meth. Yeah. So my targeting story is almost over. Like at that point, after I saw that video, I'm like freaking out. Like, okay, I'm not safe anywhere I go. Like I have this room that I'm paying rent for months in advance again, but I got fired from a job I didn't steal money from. I got falsely accused of that. Now, the first time, Wayfair, I did deserve to get fired for attendance. Like, that was my fault. I admit that. But this time, I did not deserve it at all. It felt like a setup. What was I? So anyway, again, I'm in this place that I'm paying rent at, and I don't have a job anymore because I was fired. And I really didn't have extra money to do this, but I felt so unsafe in that room, again, that I rented a hotel room hoping that it would be better. And at the hotel room, it was not better. It was like I had strong V2K all night. This time in like a woman's like Google Assistant voice. It felt like it was so strange. Like nothing crazy happened except I remember like being on my phone all night and like following instructions from some. It had me like pressing buttons on my phone. It felt like I was like connected to some kind of like hive mind kind of thing. It was very bizarre, and all night I was like listening to the instructions of the V2K, and it got me with nothing to show for it. The next day I check out, I go back to my room hoping that things will be better. And this was the last episode of my targeting and probably the craziest. Okay, so I go into my fridge to get some food, and I see one of my like frozen dinners had blue stuff all over it, and I was like, it looked like somebody had sprayed something on it. I was like, what the fuck? Did somebody poison this? And I threw that out. I grabbed the Body Armor drink, and so now I go in my room. I shut the door. I'm on my bed, and this part is like the hardest part to believe, but like I see my door start pounding, like from like someone's trying to break through the door, and I'm like, what? Who is that? What do you want? No answer. Nobody says anything. I like run up to the door and like put my back against it, crouching, because it looks like the lock's not about to hold. This part I find difficult to tell because I don't know what to make of it. But and then I remember, so they're still not. It still feels like someone's knocking, trying to come through, and I'm like, "What do you want?" And then no answer, more knocking, and then I take a sip of my drink. It tastes bitter to me. I'm like, "What? Did you put something in this?" And I swear to God, it looked like somebody passed a little fortune cookie under the door. I pick it up and it says THC. So like I just asked, "What, did you put something in this?" And I get a little note, and it says THC. And I think again my defense mechanism is like to laugh about things. So I was like, "Oh, with all the shit I've been taking, that might actually help." And I get another little fortune slid under the door, and it says, "Thanks for understanding." So again,
You're experimenting on you, like in that video I sent you.
like honestly, that must be some kind of perception manipulation, because there's no way that somebody was actually sliding real fortunes that I was picking up. But then then this is the last part. So then the pounding on the door stops, and so it was like almost like the calm before the storm. Nothing was going on, and then I look at my armoire like 5 feet to the right of me, and the corners of the armoire start protruding, and it looks so real that it looked like someone was trying to come in my room through them. I jump up to the armoire and I start. I swear to, like, I'm not saying this like, oh, it kind of looked like, no, like I was scared that somebody was somehow coming, to the point where I rushed up and started pounding the corners in. I pounded one corner in, the bottom corner came in. I was kicked that with my foot until I'm this huge piece of furniture, and I start shaking it back and forth because I think someone's in there. And I was like, "You like that?" like at the top of my lungs, like, and there was no way somebody was actually in there. There's no way, because there's no door.
I've seen that before. Yeah, I've seen a girl, like, looks like she was coming out of the couch, and I knew the girl too. She had like purple hair, and I think she was a witch. Yeah.
So this is like the end of it. So like so I'm shaking this armoire, and it's a nice summer day. I start yelling for help, because I'm terrified. So I'm like, help me. And as soon as I started yelling for help, like, this guy who lived upstairs, who happens to, I found this out afterwards, he was a level 3 sex offender. I didn't know that at the time, but I'm yelling at the top of my lungs for help, and this guy just walks right past my window, doesn't even look at me, just like as if he's like fleeing the scene. He's like, I'm like, are you? I'm like, help! And then finally, someone's like, yeah, shut up! I called the cops. They're coming. So the cops come, and they get there, and they're like, "What's your deal?" I'm like, I just didn't even bother trying to explain it. They basically made me go into treatment, like into detox, and that was August 16th of 2022. I've been clean ever since then. And that was that's, I mean, there's a lot more details, but that was the end of it for me. So that's it.
Wow, so many things that I can relate to in there. Okay, so somebody explained it to me one time, like that I was in like a fishbowl, that I was a goldfish in a fishbowl. And like that they were all outside the fishbowl.
Yeah, like looking at you and like peering in at you. Yeah, yeah, I definitely feel like that.
It's wild. I don't understand it. You know what I want to know is, I'm wondering if your first wife had any occult activity in her family, Freemasons or any kind of Knights Templar or anything like that.
Huh. That's not that I know of. But honestly, I don't think any of this had to do with my ex-wife. That's a very interesting question, and I tried to talk to her about this, and she's just like, "Steve, stop being crazy."
Yeah, my kid's dad too. I was like, I swore, I was like, it's got to be his mom. She's got witches in her bloodline or something. Like, and they're just like, no.
Yeah, I've tried to tell her every time I try to tell her about this, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't with you." I'm like, "Right, fine, whatever." That's all right though. I don't need. I have a great relationship with her. She just wants me to do better. And thank God when I went over that day, my son wasn't there, so he didn't see any of that. That's a huge blessing. He didn't see any of that. So and now I'm seeing my son more than I ever have, like with regular visits, and so that's all I really want from my ex-wife is like to like co-parent, and she doesn't need to hear about my targeting if she doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah, for sure. We got, let's see, safe locations and meth and computers boost the stalker signal. Help and meth and computers boost the stalker signal. Interesting. Okay, Masons are always involved, usually at the undercover Fed level. I mean, that is my experience. Masons in military.
Yeah, I did look into Richard. Like, I looked into his Facebook profile months later, and I did find all sorts of Masonic symbolism all over his photos. He had like pictures of him going like this, like the oath to never reveal a secret. He had pictures of like one eye and like one of them, the sun blocking out one eye. Masonic sun worship symbolism. He had like pictures of gargoyles. He had this one. And I wish I took a screenshot of this because now when I search for him, I can't find him. But his profile used to be like public. But he had this one picture. It was like a sound, like a spectral audio clip, like a sound file. And it resembled like the Twin Towers. And his comment on it was like, oh, it kind of reminds you of something, doesn't it? And all his friends like commented these like fly little comments like, yeah, sure does. Like they were all in on some like evil secret, and they can't stand how excited they all are about it. That was the vibe I got from his whole Facebook, like snarky little comments about like, oh yeah, like I know what that means, like stuff like that. So yes, I do think there was a Masonic connection with Richard, at least for sure.
Right. Okay. Well, okay. At least that's something we have in common in our stories. But man, I really liked that YouTube channel with the girl. I tried to get her to come on the show. She hasn't answered me yet. But the one with all like the codes or whatever on the website. Yeah.
Yes.
She had put up another video and they took the sound out of it. I was like, come on.
Yeah, it's funny. Somebody shared a video of hers with me just like a week before. She's relatively new, right? But she seems to be gaining popularity.
Yeah, she's got really big on TikTok, I think. I think just her YouTube is not very big. But yeah. What was she called? Like Dark Side of the something?
Or something?
It was something. Dark Side of something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is we got here? Oh, Rebecca's saying Florida's bad. Tasha's saying Florida is flat out hostile.
Jeez.
I've heard it is pretty bad out there. Thank you, Jesus. The vibe in Florida, it was so bizarre. I was a public adjuster going door to door in the hood, scared for my life, cried out to God, and he revealed himself abundantly. Hallelujah. That is awesome.
I do want to like focus. I do want to talk about Jesus for a second, because I am guilty of like getting wrapped up and like obsessing about how they're doing this with the technology, blah, blah, blah. Like, and sometimes I forget like, that all of that is bigger than me. Like that's not on me to like solve or figure out. That like what I know is that like today God has delivered me to this, and I pray that it stays that way. And I also pray that if he does see fit to allow it to happen again, that I have the strength and resilience from him that I need to withstand it without turning to drugs and alcohol. So like that's my bottom line, is like, thank you, Jesus, for this not happening today. And if it does happen, if that's your will, like allow me to be strong enough to get through it.
I know, and like I think it was probably like 2011. I remember the Lord told me that in the end times, people will be controlled by their phones. So maybe some of us were able to be shown some of these things. So when these things come about, like we will already be keen to what has happened.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend last night about this, and it does, in my spirit, this kind of stuff does seem like it's related to end times. Obviously, I don't know that, but it seems like, you know, like Jesus said, like, see that you were not deceived. Like all of this is about deception and like trickery and like deception on a level like that we've never seen before. And it just feels like it could be like some type of like really bad end time scenario. I don't know, just speculation, but that's what I can see that happening, you know. And I like what you just said. Yeah, maybe that is like, that's a very interesting point. Maybe that was that we were being shown this to like help others along when more of it starts happening, you know.
Right. And yeah, because clearly the more people that are like coming out about this, I mean, it is just insane, like the amount of people. I mean, even me, myself, even though I had been through it, I was still skeptical. Like, yes, I've been through that, but did it really? Like, it was so wild. Like, you know.
There, after the first time, like the break I had in between, like I tried to like I tried to talk to myself and be like, did that really just happen, Steve? Like, nah, man, you just did too much drugs, too much meth. But it never like worked because I was like, okay, well, what about the video you saw play on your TV? Like, don't pretend like you don't remember that. Like, it happened. So I did try to like just say like, nah, I tried to convince myself that it didn't happen, but that never successfully or for very long.
Literally, they wrote in my notebook. Like, I had it on paper, like these people wrote in my notebook. Like, don't tell me that, you know what I mean? Like, there's no way that it couldn't have not happened. Like,
I was curious about your experience with it. When is the last time that like anything has happened to you? It's been a while, right? Because I know you've been clean for a long time.
You know, yes, but I have had a couple little instances of some things. I had one thing with the TV. And this was when I was starting my last relationship, which was probably a warning sign that I shouldn't have been in it. It was like a red flag, you know what I mean? Gang stalking, demonic activity, run away. But I didn't listen. So I remember being on the couch and like with this guy, and like some things were happening, right? And like the TV starts describing what's happening. And I'm like, is this really happening right now? Because I had an experience, and that was a little over 3 years ago.
Do you know how many people I have heard say that? That didn't happen to me specifically. Like, what I saw was a video that was not part of, but I've heard what you just said. Like, people were watching a real TV show, and all of a sudden the dialogue changes to like that's I have a clip of this girl who said that there was, and I'll share it with you, a clip of this girl who said she was watching Simpsons when it changes. And my friend Ashley, she watched the last one specifically. I think she wants to like get in touch with you. She has a story like that where she would watch the show Everybody Hates Chris, and when she was watching it with this one guy, all of a sudden the dialogue would change and start making fun of her about taking drugs. Like I that's wild. That's wild.
Yeah. Man. It was weird. And I was like, no, this is not happening. This can't be happening again. This can't be happening again. Like, this doesn't happen in like it had been, golly, probably like 5 years. So I was just like, no, I'm just, no, it can't be. But what I started seeing was when I was in that situation, back in my addiction, when I was in my last relationship, there are a lot of things that I overlooked, like a lot of things where I'm kind of like, man, there was a lot of similarities between that Mason and this spirit in this relationship. So something that I've kind of been like evaluating, so
interesting.
It's just weird, I don't know. You can't.
So I was just gonna say, and you kind of warned me this might happen. Like, I haven't had any V2K or phone hacking or electronic harassment since 8/16/22. But like I put out my 3 videos, which are on my YouTube channel. I'll post a link to my YouTube channel in the comments. But in my last video, I said like, and you know what? Today I couldn't find a gang stalker if I tried, you know, and I swear not, and that my YouTube channel, not that it has a lot now, but at the time it had 0 subscribers, maybe a couple views, whatever. Like 3 days later, in like at my work where I work, I got like mad gang stalkers all throughout the day. I saw more people wearing red than I've ever seen in my life during that one shift. This one guy came up to me and he had these glasses on that were like, and sure they were just shades, but they were like hologram colored shades. And he has some flashlights, and he was like, hey man, check out these flashlights. And I'm like, I go over to him. He's like, hey, check it out. They got the strobe setting. And in my video, I talk about the light that I pick up that has I clicked it once and it was a strobe. So I'm like, okay, here we go. Here's a gang stalker.
Oh
and,
my goodness, that's so like, crazy.
This is just a couple weeks ago, and he was like, yeah, I heard that you can catch all sorts of bugs and rats with this thing. You know, I tried calling the manufacturer to get my warranty, but you know, you just can't prove any of this stuff. You can't prove any of it. And I'm just like, I'm like, okay. So then I walk away from him for a minute, and me and my coworker's there too, and I'm looking at my coworker. She's looking at me like that was weird. But in my head, I know what this guy's about, you know. And then a few minutes later, he comes up to me and her again. He comes up to both of us. He's like, "Hey, are any of the ATMs around here working?" Which is a strange question, right? Me and my coworker look at each other again, and I almost didn't say anything, but I just sighed. I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, because I went to Cumberland Farms and it wasn't working over there." So here's this guy talking about flashlights, strobe settings, Cumberland Farms, everything I had just talked about in my video. So yeah, but that doesn't, I can deal with that. I can deal with a couple idiots coming in my work playing games, you know. Hopefully, I don't know the exact correlation between doing meth and this stuff. I'm hoping that like staying clean and praying to Jesus will be enough to keep most of the harassment at bay. But I just don't know. I just, every day is a new day. I thank God for I count my blessings that it's not happening now and hope that it continues not,
Tasha said, what happened to the video you posted that keeps getting blocked?
Oh, okay. I'm glad. All right. So, yes, I'm super pumped about this video, and there is a way to watch it. Okay. So it's, I made this video called Predictive Programming for the Targeted Individual. Check out the one that's on my YouTube channel now. So it's like almost an hour long, and I take this popular show on Netflix called Creeped Out. Like the whole series is predictive programming for targeted individuals. And I have plans to like analyze a lot of those episodes, but the first one I did, I am really proud of. It came out really good. And on my channel, like that's the first video listed. It looks like it's a 37-second video. You have to go into the description and click the link. It's a Google Drive file. That's how I had to show it, because every time I kept uploading it, it would instantly be taken down because of the clips I showed of a Netflix show. So yeah, but please check that out and comment on it. Let me know what you guys think of it, because I spent a lot of time on that and I think it came out really good.
So this show is actually on Netflix right now?
Yeah. I couldn't, all right. So with my story in mind, and so watch that video or just watch the Netflix show. Watch the episode Marty on Netflix. It's so obviously related to this stuff. Like this girl gets a phone and the phone starts talking to her. She has full conversations with the phone. The phone has its own personality. The phone gets abusive to her I just analyzed the whole episode, and then there's other episodes of that show too that like deal with like spying on your neighbors is one of them. There some of the episodes more so than others, but the Netflix show is called Creeped Out, and yeah, watch my video if you want to learn more about that. But it certainly is creepy.
Okay, I don't know if I want to watch it, not by myself anyway. Oh my goodness. All right, Stephen. Well, I guess we're gonna get off. I don't see any more comments or questions or anything. So I guess we're just gonna have to do a Q&A next time. and just do like an event, and we'll let you guys know when we're gonna do it. And yeah, we'll just do like Q&A, and you guys can share your experiences, and we can share, like, you know, from our experience what we think about that or how we perceive that, you know what I mean? And we'll just see how it goes.
All right, thanks, Jamie.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.